GreenKey since inception has really been focused on the interface between voice and data. And I think for us that's been so much of our core mission, and for 2017 it's going to be a key year for us as we start to really make that shift and start to extract a tremendous amount of the data within the voice conversations and start to integrate them in really creative and unique ways with a lot of our customers. So we're doing some really exciting things along those lines. And I think there's a lot of focus there, both from front office and the commercial organizations that want to leverage that data and use that data for workflow purposes, for commercial purposes, actually being able to monetize the data that's embedded within their voice transactions, but also for middle and back office. So of course this has massive implications for compliance teams and MiFID. For many years, people have been predicting the demise of voice brokerage, and to some extent, I think over the last few decades, we've definitely seen smaller voice brokerage desks, but doing the same amount of work. So by definition, what that calls for is really creative uses of technology and efficiency by being able to manage the same workflow, the same workload, potentially with less bodies. So that's absolutely a huge part of what we focus on, is actually optimizing everybody from the clerk to the actual head broker to the entire broker team, and then middle and back office, just to streamline workflows. And to some extent also, voice brokerage hasn't necessarily been viewed as the sexiest part of Wall Street. What we're able to do is actually turn that around a little bit, because to some extent the holy grail for decades now has been capturing so much of the information that is just ripped on a phone call, but only 10% of it ever makes it onto a screen or a CEF or a trading platform. So our hope is to actually flip that around, where we can actually now translate 90% of what they're just ripping on the phone calls and actually bring that onto the electronic platform. For 2017, a major area of focus for us, and we've actually been calling this to some extent our glide path strategy, which really is dependent on us being able to deploy the technology behind major enterprise firewalls and developing a cloud of clouds that effectively extracts all the front end from the actual processing. So GreenKey has been effectively redeveloped to really be API focused first and foremost. And to some extent we're endpoint agnostic. So we don't necessarily compete with the existing turret players. We of course do have our own soft turret, but so much of what we do is focused on that interface between voice to data, and we can access that through APIs. So we can interface with somebody's existing phone system today and actually be able to extract the voice technology without having to actually replace or displace anything on their desktops. Imagine plugging Amazon Echo into every single bank's trading systems, every single brokerage trading systems, every single funds trading systems, and really being able to extend that. So think about what's happening at Apple, what's happening at Amazon, at Google, and how voice interfaces right now really can command and define how we're interacting with technology in the future. If you think back to Star Trek, you think back to even the new Iron Man movies, there's this always idea of being able just to talk to the computer, right? So that's actually part of our vision, just being able to talk to the trading systems and being able to just hit a keyword and execute $1 million trade, being able to hit a keyword and extracting a certain piece of data. We're actually seeing the large enterprises embrace cloud and hosted technologies and being able to let go of some of that control and look at it as more of a service rather than a capital expenditure. That said, they're still very hesitant, and there's a lot of security and network and just behavioral inertia there that is very difficult for us to overcome, or difficult for the industry to overcome. What we've been able to do around that is work with them with our gateways, work with them with their workflows, work with them with mobile deployments, where what we can do is take them on this glide path towards that full transition, but not force them overnight to flip 2,000-3,000 phone systems, rather deploy side by side with what they have in place, and then pick and choose the pockets of either millennial generation that's ready to embrace right now, or these workflow integrations we've discussed where they can see an immediate need, and then just gradually move them over and be able to replace 2,000-3,000 traditional phone system that they have in place for decades, and allow them to actually embrace hosted technology on their schedule rather than us being able to just force it on them. And a lot of that has to do with deploying our gateways and our on-premise technology, which has been so much of our focus for this new release.